This hoe is so ugly she can scare a hungry bulldog off the back of a meat truck.
48 minutes of dogs barking. 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 Growl. Growl. 48 minutes of dogs barking. 48 minutes of dogs barking.
So, Jason, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, he brings over a 12-pack of beer. That was very,
I think
very
it's a 16-pack, technically.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I want to polish it off tonight.
No, but I saw you walking through the backyard. I said, this motherfucker came to party.
I'm fucking quit my job.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
No,
damn.
I told my boss to suck these nuts. I did, if you want to believe it or not, did quit a job. I quit Whole Foods. I was like, I fucking...
Yes, I remember this.
Do you remember this story?
Vaguely, but I would love to hear it again.
I was so pissed off at this job. I was pissed off by how I was being scheduled, and there was some other personal stuff going on. And I just had like this Friday close where I'm like, I'm getting fucked. This sucks. I don't think I'm coming back tomorrow. I want to say 15 minutes before close, I went out and I bought a case of Sam Adams Oktoberfest. And I remember my boss watching me. And I remember like, he's like at the pizza station and he's watching me in line. I'm just staring him down. I tortured that man.
Yeah?
After I quit, would come back and just like, I liked the people I worked with.
Sure.
I just hated my fucking boss.
Right.
So I would come
Which
back
is the way
up,
it goes, honestly.
I would come back up and like hang out with people.
Right.
And
while they're on shift.
Yeah, while they're on shift. Like, I don't have to work here anymore. I have to deal with this bullshit. I don't have to have a work with a management team where a guy sits at his desk and plays slap bass, like on unplugged bass, which is like sad. And I remember one time I was like talking to some guys at the pizza station, and he was interviewing someone in the middle of and he was facing me. In the middle of the interview, he asked the person to switch
seats with him,
so he
wouldn't have to look at you.
me.
Yeah,
and I was like, "This fucking rules."
Yeah, you get to torture him for
And,
free.
I had
no consequences.
I had to sign a piece of paperwork to get my last paycheck that said that I could never work for Whole Foods again. And I was like, "Oh, this is a challenge."
Yeah, easy peasy,
And the
baby.
slap bass guy was the one that made me do it. And I'm like, "This is like a stupid ass job, and still a stupid ass job." I exercised my rights and my autonomy as a worker because that boss blocked me from transferring out of his department because everyone else hated him and was transferring out.
Jeez.
And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to work in a kitchen under this guy who, when he fries tortilla chips, doesn't know to roll up the sleeves on his chef's coat. And this is a guy I'm supposed to be going to,
for advice. Yeah.
Jesus. While I was working at that job, they did one of those anonymous management review things. And I mean, people were going and buying beers on their lunch break and housing them in their car. People were cracking knuckles.
Yeah.
People were writing out their answers beforehand because that's how much they disliked this guy. And last I heard, he has his own store, which just shows you failing upwards is possible. Let's get this back on the fucking rails,
please.
So it's your birthday.
I
talked shit about
a couple
a
days
job
ago. Yeah.
that I used to have a million years ago.
A couple days ago. Yeah.
48 minutes of complaining about jobs I had over a decade ago.
Oh man, that would be its own sub show, I think. Because we both have so many stories about that. Yeah.
Tell the story about why you had to transfer branches at the bank.
Yeah, exactly. That kind
I don't
of thing.
know that story because I'm afraid to ask it. I just know that
I got assaulted.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I got assaulted. A customer thought I shortchanged him. He comes in a couple days later, and I say, "Hey, how can I help you?" I don't recognize the guy because I had previously done his transaction through the drive-up, so I wouldn't know what he looks like.
But he knew you.
He knew me. Yes, sir. Well, because I had a name tag on, and my name was on the receipt from what he believed was me shortchanging him.
This was Jason Malkowitz. Van Fleet?
Yeah,
Malkowitz
exactly.
Van Fleet. I'm the other Jason.
Yeah, the other one. He comes in, he's acting all nice, and he wants to do a transaction, and I said, okay, I just need to see some ID. He goes, you want to be my friend? I said, sure. He puts his hand out. Friendship. Using that hand, he pulls me over the counter and proceeds to slug me a bunch of times.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I'm flailing around, screaming. I'm an indoor kid. I don't I don't get into fights. So this was new to me. Kind of wrenched myself free of his grasp and then hit my head on the floor. So I got my bell rung a little bit and. I had to do a whole police report. It was they closed the branch until the cops came, and that was when they transferred me. was like, this guy, he's a vet. He was off his meds. They're probably not going to hold him for very long. So let's just get you out of this particular branch and move you to another one. So they moved me to University City. Credit unions have a reputation for being the poor people bank.
I would disagree, but that's
I
the
understand
reputation.
That's the reputation, and that is, by and large, the good number of our clientele were people who were previously unbankable, people who other banks would not open accounts for, or people who other banks would not make loans to, or whatever. And we had, a number of products that were designed to kind of give you that leg up, get you started.
Sure.
There's all that kind of stuff. Credit repair, all that. But
yeah, credit unions are a viable thing. Yeah,
they're great. They're a great resource. They're all union. I love them very much. For some reason, the one that I worked at in U City was probably, it was a nice facility, but the people who came there.
Now, I've worked a couple years of my life on the Del Mar Loop. Yeah,
this was actually off the loop. This was closer to the Olive side. So it was actually on Olive. It was on Olive, close to the old theater.
That then became a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's such a weird part of town because it's kind of fucking weird and sketchy, but it's also like not.
Well, so all the people who came in to bank with us there, they were the weird ones, and unfortunately, I got them all. I got the woman who continually, every time she came up to my window, insisted that I had shortchanged her. All that fun stuff. But we'll talk about that at a future date because we gotta get the show started. Welcome to 48 Minutes of Dogs Barking. My name's Jason. This is Brian.
Yeah, but what we got today, Jason? Let's get kinetic. Let's ascertain the situation.
I'm gonna do a visual pat down of the
visual. Ascertain the podcast and made a kinetic movement.
I kinetically clicked the mouse. So
Tier 1 operator over here. Yeah, this is what I used to do in Kabul.
Tier 1.
That's what I did in Kabul. Yeah, I was head podcaster in Kabul.
I was in the 63rd ship posting regiment. Yeah,
I was the first plane out of Afghanistan.
Get me the fuck out of here.
Me and all of the financiers. And
yep. Get us out of here, please. So this, I swear this has to be satire, but I saw this this last week.
I'm sorry. I'm just imagining like the Taliban like finding the podcast studio and like, just
laying siege.
What if and then just being like, what if Jeff Goldblum was on Family Feud? Come down bits.
But see, the thing is, they don't have to fight it themselves. They have it's like a proxy war. So it's like one Taliban podcast versus one American podcast. Yeah, our numbers we're number 236 in Ireland. What do you think about that?
It's like they have Dasha on.
Yeah, the Taliban, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm sorry.
Woo. Anyway, saw this last week, and we were so... The last episode was so stuffed with stuff, I figured it could wait. This one, we talked about Good Omens before. Good Omens, of course, the novel.
Mm-hmm.
Written by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. Turned into a television series. Amazon Prime has it. Season 2 just came out, and this post shows up. Started by Christian Good Omen fans. Now, Good Omens, of course, is a series that details the relationship between an angel and a demon as they become best friends and also boyfriend and boyfriend.
Oh.
We are a group of concerned Christians who are angered, all caps, by the decision to turn the two protagonists of Good Omens gay. After a bona fide heterosexual first season, we were blindsided into watching a show that lied. We are not homophobic. We just believe in truth. And those turths, they misspelled truth, so that's great. Those turths are, Angel and Crowley are supposed to be friends and brothers, not lovers and bum chums. Angel and Crowley were not gay in the book. By the way, it's Azraphale and Crowley. They could not remember the one character's name, so they keep saying Angel. Anyway, angels can't be gay, for they are holy missionaries of God. David Tennant is too hot to be gay.
I would feel that would be evidence for gayness.
I was going to say, here are our demands. A formal complaint from Neil Gaiman. They misspell both Neil and Gaiman, and they spell Neil Gaiman to have a Y in it. So 50% of me thinks this is satire because it can't.
This has to be a riff.
A formal complaint from Neil Gaiman, Terry Pratchett, well, who's dead, David Tennant, and Martin Sheen. Refilm and release a non-gay version of Good Omens Season 2. Remove all the gay scenes from Good Omens 2. Hashtag release the straight Good Omens 2 cut. Unwieldy for a hashtag. Give Angel and Crowley girlfriends in Good Omens 3. Include scenes of Angel and Crowley renouncing their gayness in Good Omens 3 and becoming straight again. Hashtag make Angel Cowley straight again. Make a promise to not feature gay scenes between Angel and Crowley in Good Omens 3. That includes, this is my favorite part, that includes no hand-holding, no kissing, no flirting, no cross-dressing. Crowley, stop. No characters calling them a cute couple, no handjobs, no blowjobs, no innuendo, no anal sex, graphic sex scenes, etc. No 69ing. This goes on in front of the page, but this is where I stopped. I couldn't handle it more than that. It has to be satire. It has to be. I keep repeating this to myself. It has to be satire. David Tennant, too cute to be gay. All right. I think Community Notes would have a field day with that.
Speaking of Community Notes.
Exactly right. Community Notes has been showing other people their asses in the past couple months. I love this one. It's a photo there. It says, these are the lungs of a 10-year-old that grew up in a home with a gas oven. They're not supposed to look like that. The Community Notes post, that is a picture of a walnut. There's a couple more examples here. There's breaking my Twitter silence to let y'all know my femme-presenting ass was denied service at a bar in Manhattan because I was visibly gay. I'm safe, I'm fine, but if it's happening to me in New York fucking City, it's happening everywhere. Your queer friends need your solidarity. Readers added context. This person is in a heterosexual marriage. Which led to, of course,
the tweet being deleted.
And that person deleting their account altogether. You gotta love it. Fuck around and find out. Well, there it is. And this is one of the last ones. Vision for the Blind posting, you buying this is the same person? He's posting the video side by sides. One video is the woman on the plane screaming about how the guy's not real. Y'all need to get him off of here. And then the second video is that same woman on TikTok saying, hey, this was me. I was off my meds. It wasn't great. But she's doing the whole public apology for something she didn't need to apologize for. She's having a mental health crisis. Y'all buying this is the same person? Readers added context. This user has digitally manipulated the second image to enlarge the woman's breasts for some reason.
Had to make her slim thick.
And
the reptiloids won't let you see the truth.
That's right.
Is that the pogs are out there?
Agent Fox Mulder is just like, you ever hear of the pog alien, Scully?
They're dummy thick.
He's dummy thick, Scully. Rent a car. We're going to Minneapolis.
They've got a gorilla grip. Yeah. What else we got, Chief?
We have the sex scenes are bad. Discourse continues, Brian.
Fuck!
It keeps fucking happening.
I thought the Zoomers were supposed to be like the liberated ones.
Sadly, no. So there's this woman on TikTok who posted this video. She was asked a question. Any advice for my husband and I wanting to watch Oppenheimer but being fully afraid of the Florence Pugh scene everyone is talking about? First of all, if you're afraid of what are quite possibly some of the most magnificent rack I've seen in a while, you got problems.
Ever since, perhaps since Allison Pill.
You have problems if you are afraid of this woman's breasts.
Yeah, and
I'm sorry. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah, I mean, people are like, was that necessary? And like, maybe in some respect it wasn't necessary, but we're all talking about it. I think in a way it expresses the mark that person had on Oppenheimer.
And I think that if you're going to present the person as a person, sexuality has to be, by definition, a part of it. You're going to give me this warts and all thing. Well, that's part of it, is that he was a bit of a hound dog.
He was a bit of he was here for it.
Yeah.
With or without the sex scenes or nudity, not a second of her is wasted in that movie.
No, because as we know from seeing her in fucking everything else we've seen her in.
She kills it. It's fantastic.
We talked previously about Don't Worry, Darling.
Did you hear that she ended up kind of directing some of it? Because
it wouldn't surprise me.
Because whoever was directing it apparently was going, I forget her name.
Olivia Wilde.
Olivia Wilde was going AWOL.
Yeah, that was a bit of a chaotic thing, but I mean, her performance in it is stellar. It's the anchor to the movie, so I mean, she's got the goods. But yes, so this was I'm afraid of the Florence Pugh scene everyone's talking about. And so this woman on TikTok is saying, I research everything, but especially this movie. Since obviously I'd heard about it, we wanted to see it. It has an amazing rating. We prepared ourselves. What did you watch? Midsummer and Don't Worry, Darling? I thought it was just several minutes straight of sex scenes, but it wasn't. It actually was broken up into several, which is true. The sequence of the film is kind of interspersed. So the long and short of it is that this woman didn't want her night to be ruined by this. And so her husband, covered his eyes whenever one of these scenes happened, which is the biggest bullshit line I've ever heard. But so digging into this, though, I found out she has a series of posts about she has betrayal trauma. In an earlier video, she talks about how her husband, she caught him watching porn, and to her that was a betrayal. And so she says she has betrayal trauma for that, which is misusing therapeutic language, and I will not stand for it.
Yeah.
But it's because of this whole thing about porn
is this the same husband?
Yes, this is the same husband, the same wife, the same account. Husband watches porn, it makes me upset. Well, we're going to go see this movie, and I'm going to be very sure that there's nothing approaching pornographic in it, and if there is, he's going to close his eyes. Very strange, very controlling behavior. I think it's doubly weird because it's just one of those things where I'm like, fucking leave him. If you're so bothered by it.
Yeah.
If it's such a problem for you, this should have been announced from the get-go. We should have established that ground rule a long time ago. It even made it to the Daily Mail. Woman 29 reveals she made her husband shield his eyes during every nude scene in Oppenheimer after he left her suffering from betrayal trauma by secretly watching porn. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. They're very real people who have very real problems, but Oppenheimer is not one of them, I don't think. I think it's something deeper.
I think of the history of sex scenes and whatever you want to describe as being explicit I've seen in film. I think what's going on Oppenheimer is pretty tame, and it doesn't really play for titillation necessarily. It's really you are learning something about the characters. I know that sounds like I read Playboy for the article, but it's true.
Yeah, sometimes a sex scene can be less about, as you said, titillation, less about sexploitation, or less about getting your yayas out than it is about this is actually something that informs the character. This is something that kind of tells you something about them. Like Terminator was my first example that came to mind.
Yeah,
without the sex scene in the Terminator, you could argue that sex scene could be excised and the movie's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it also, the way that Cameron frames it and the way that everyone's kind of in it, Michael Biehn especially, tells you something about their characters, even though it's kind of salacious. It's a Roger Corman trick.
Yeah.
he's doing the Roger Corman trick of here's a sex scene in the middle of your chase scene movie. But even that, I can say well, it's justified. I'm fine with it.
I think you're generally on the money there. People that are weirdly repressed in ways that I thought we weren't supposed to anymore.
I think part of it, and this is just a theory, but I think part of it is that a lot of these people, because of financial problems or because of whatever problems they have, are living with their parents. And I think because they're living with their parents, the watching of sex scenes when your mom's around is coming back, but they're not couching it that way. They're saying sex scenes are not good and shouldn't be in movies and then the unspoken part is because my parents are watching these movies with me and they might see something that makes us all uncomfortable. Well, that's a you problem. That's not my,
Maybe don't watch those movies with your parents.
Yeah, there's content. I mean, there's content warnings everywhere. I mean, the MPAA tells you there's brief nudity in this movie.
And maybe do a little research. Is it because someone like moons someone, or is it because someone gets something put in their butt? Is it
right? No, I mean IMDb. The users there are very descriptive.
Or you can go to doesdogdie.com or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That gives you all of like the good content.
Hell,
warnings.
even Letterboxd sometimes will let you know. That kind of thing. So like if you're too hip to go to IMDb or whatever, you can kind of get the vibe from reading Letterboxd reviews. Granted, half of them are some variation on "this happened to my friend Eric," because that's like the go-to joke on that site. But there are some useful reviews. The last thing I have for you, Brian, is a little bit of TikTok drama. Oh, the TikTok drama. So there is a video going around of a Asian woman cutting down a fence. And, of course, now it's unavailable because the people involved are just, they're crazy. They're all crazy. But a TikToker named Tiffany Mirage, I have no fucking clue how to say it. Tiffany M-R-A-J. Is that like Jason Mars, but with a J? I don't know. Posted a video of one of her neighbors cutting her fence with an electric saw. In the video, she yells back and forth with this woman, trying to get her to stop. She even goes to her property, and then the fence lady pushes her. There's a whole back and forth. Nobody really understood what was the point of all this. Well, now the neighbor lady opened up her own TikTok account and was like, here's the deal. She explained it in no uncertain terms. Look, this fence is on my property. I'm trying to get this AC unit removed, and they won't let me in. And so she took matters in her own hands and got the fucking Sawzall out. It's like, but there was just so much shit, like people yelling at her to like speak English, or like people saying that the white woman's entitled, and like it's this whole brouhaha building up on just this one site. Because I've never seen any of this stuff on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck you're calling it these days.
Sure.
That's one of those things where it's like, boy, this is really self-contained. This is just in this one little ecosystem. I found it fascinating because, there's videos on both sides. The fence lady is like, hey, thank everybody for your support. The neighbors still aren't complying with this order. They did a survey, and the fence isn't even supposed to be there, so she was kind of right. It's just, I recommend anyone who wants to get into this. KnowYourMeme.com does have a whole article about this. It's Who is the Fence Lady? It's one of those things where it started as like, oh, this is a crazy lady. And then you go, well, she kind of has a point.
Yeah. Well, what the fuck?
You love neighbors. You love crazy neighbors. But then when you realize, maybe if you've got a point, then it becomes a whole nother thing. Because people were throwing racist shit at this lady. And
I don't know. The internet was a mistake, I think, kind of thing. I think neighbors should just find that one thing to hold a grudge about until someone moves away, and then that new person moves in like, oh man, the person who lived here before was such a cunt.
You can just fetch about the old neighbor, and then you have a bond because everybody knows an asshole, or
everyone's had an asshole neighbor.
Yeah, so okay, I'm with that. That does sound like a yeah. Because I do that.
Yeah,
the people who moved in next door to us. Every time I see them, they'll say something like, yeah, well, you should have seen what this guy did to the place. It's cathartic when you're complaining to the new neighbors about the old neighbors, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, well, speaking of complaining, it's Crypto Scam of the Week time.
You're listening to 48 Minutes of Dogs Barking, the podcast.
And now it's time for the Crypto Scam of the Week.
What we got?
Baby. Another press release from the SEC. I'm starting to really enjoy these. As of a couple days ago, the Securities and Exchange Commission charged a former New Jersey State Correctional Officer by the name of John DeSalvo with fraudulently raising funds through the unregistered offering of the Blazar token, a crypto asset security he created and then collapsed in May of 2022. The SEC also charged DeSalvo with misappropriating investor funds, much of which he sent to his personal crypto asset wallets and used to pay for a bathroom renovation.
You know what? I think this dude slaps. I think this is kind of funny, scamming cops and then I got a new bathroom.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's not big dreaming.
What
a dream.
It's
what a dream.
$500,000. I mean, $620,000 $1,000 from 220 investors, it says.
Gosh.
Yeah, he claims, and this is the funniest part.
Listen, and they're mad. They're like, you know how much overtime we didn't work? We had the clock, the
Right?
race
Right? So
to get this money, and then you fleece it from us?
Right. So here's my favorite part, though. As to the compliance charges, DeSalvo claimed that the Blazar token would replace the existing state pension system and told investors the token was registered with the SEC, that he had arranged for the token to be purchased by automatic payroll deduction, and that investors were guaranteed to receive extraordinary returns. Oh, the old classics. The classics never die, don't they? You're going to get big returns, great returns. We're going to Forex this shit. We're going to the moon.
We're going to the moon, where there are no extradition laws, and you don't have to report when you discharge your firearm on the moon. Gosh. Imagine
Qualified immunity on the moon.
Imagine qualified immunity on the moon. And no one in space, no one can hear you shoot their dog.
You got to take the dog up there, too, so that's a whole thing.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
They bring a whole kennel up there.
They're up there. They built kind of a moon base, and they're just getting regular deliveries of canines.
Dogs?
Yeah.
Street dogs off of Shanghai.
Send them up. It's fine. So apparently this was not his first dalliance with a Ponzi scheme.
Oh, you don't say.
No. 2021, he had solicited investors primarily through social media to participate in an investment venture where he would invest their funds into stocks, options, and crypto asset securities. The complaint alleges that within weeks of depositing the $95,000 he raised from 17 investors. I'm not doing the math right now, but that's a lot of money per investor.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Those aren't rookie numbers.
No. He lost about 17 grand of those funds in speculative investments, misappropriated the remaining 78,000, and told investors that the group securities had lost all value due to poor market conditions. So yes, this was not his first rodeo. He just decided, you know what? I'm a corrections officer. These guys are walking around with a little too much coin in their pocket. It's about time to get me some.
Being a CO is a fucking
bottom
feeder job in so many ways.
Yeah, I've got a friend who was a former CO, and he's like, never again.
I think it's great, everything this guy did. Like, I don't,
fleece them all. It's fine.
If he was like, fleecing teachers or
very different story.
Or ambulance drivers.
Yeah,
or,
someone who provides a value to society.
Yes, but it's like when the Theranos, like when you found out she like fleeced
Elizabeth Holmes, fucking a folk hero.
some of the most despisable human beings of our time. And it's like, yeah, it's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, they also kind of walked into that one if they weren't going to do their due diligence.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus. She wears a turtleneck and talks like this. Well, that you couldn't see that from a mile.
How much have you ever lost on investment?
Let me get your blood. Yeah,
Let me get your blood.
I don't know, man.
What's that? Stay very still.
Yeah. I need it for my machine.
Yeah.
She did the Anton Chigurh voice. That's right. But the best part about this is, of course, the kicker. Too often in crypto, says David Hirsch, chief of crypto assets and cyber unit of the SEC's Division of Enforcement, we see promoters perpetrate familiar frauds in shiny new wrappers by making claims that are difficult for investors to independently verify. Registering the offer and sale of securities enables critical oversight and improves disclosures to investors, and we will continue to pursue those who fail to abide by those requirements. These guys are the SEC does not take any shit. Like, they're real, hard-nosed about this stuff, but like that statement is just like, you're kind of missing the point here, bud. Like, yes, of course, he's going to be culpable or whatever, and he tricked these people using his status as a corrections officer to give him their life savings, and your response is, well, we're going to make sure that any securities are fucking nerds. Get out of here.
I don't think I have seen any crypto project that was, quote unquote legitimate or trying to be legitimate. And I mean like in a sincerest way that I've seen crypto people try to do everything right. And that's part of Coinbase's argument with their shit with the SEC is like, well, can you tell us what we're supposed to be doing? Which is a bad defense, but the crypto laws in this country are kind of so vague and weird that fuck crypto, but the people that are in it don't have good guidelines to even try and give a facsimile of being legitimate or being within the law.
Right, because this is the Wild West. You don't know who's on the level because everybody tries to pretend, and they're all going to trot out the same numbers, and they're going to give you websites, and it's going to look legit because they know how to do it.
Oh yeah, you give,
and it's fucking easy. It's easy to pretend to be legit in this space. That's, I think, what really makes this segment so evergreen, because there's always going to be somebody who is minimally tech savvy enough to make a white paper, or to do this or do that.
I fucking remember ICOs, initial coin offerings.
Oh yeah, classic stuff.
Fucking DentaCoin and GreenMed, like none of that, all of that stuff, fucking just immediately went to zero.
It was smoke. There was nothing there.
There was shit. Mark Cuban had a gaming token that's been all but erased from the internet called Unicron or Unicoin.
I remember Unicoin.
That shit disappeared.
You'll never hear about it again.
Yeah,
scams are as old as time, and this one's no different. I mean, this is the Nigerian prince scam with a few extra steps.
Yeah.
This is easy to do. People can do it, and clearly they do it often. And I just love the idea of a CO scamming other cops. To me, that's just like, boy, you're eating your own. Feels good. I don't know why. I don't know what that's about.
God,
that doesn't say anything about our society.
His bathroom.
That's my favorite part.
That's why I love, dude. We love a simple king.
Oh yeah. Well, look, dude. Hey,
I'm sure he did some other stuff, but like the fact that that's what they picked out was like, and he renovated his bathroom, like.
Yeah, because it's probably the thing that costs the most. Speaking from experience, that's probably the thing. I can only imagine what someone with $500,000 is going to do. Oh, they're going to put they're going to have
the Doom bathroom from something awful.
I was thinking they're just going to have the heated floors, but yeah, they might as well.
You remember that, right?
I do.
God,
that was
so gaudy.
That really feels like a Grover House 2.0 type of deal, but it was just that bathroom. Because I think they may have done something else to like a kitchen, but that thread was so fucking... Somebody made a Doom wad with that bathroom in it. It's fucking fantastic. This week, our focus returns to... We talk about movies a lot on the show in the Breathmen, right?
Yeah.
But this particular site was one of my favorites from 98 onwards. It's a site called badmovies.org. It still exists in all its early web
Is this
glory.
frames or no frames?
This is no frame.
I'm making an old website joke.
This is no frame, and it definitely looks it. But the site did last for a long while. So badmovies.org calls itself a website to the detriment of good film, which I don't think is actually true, but it is a database almost of uniquely terrible movies, some better than others, and they do have a ranking system. So one of the big features of the site is reviews. If you're looking for a bad movie to watch, you go over to B Movie Reviews, which is this big header up at the top there, and you get an alphabetical list. You'll notice that a lot of these movies, too, some of these titles might sound familiar. If you're a Mystery Science Theater 3000 fan...
Just about to say, yeah.
Yep. These movies...
Devilfish,
yeah.
Touch of Satan.
Blood Waters of Dr. Z, and so forth and so on. Battle for the Stars. There's a lot of familiar names. But where MST3K was content with just mocking the movie, which is a pastime in its own right, what I liked about badmovies.org was that they gave you a ton of information. I mean, this is like almost a separate IMDb strictly for bad movies. Babes in Toyland, we're going for this example. They give you the rating, who made it, when it was released. Here's who reviewed it. Who are the actors in it? A detailed plot. Then, two of my favorite things. These are things I think every movie review should have, but don't. Things I learned from this movie. So for Babes in Toyland, if an electric pole is knocked down, it only takes out the phones. Mean people live in bowling balls. If you can't pay the rent in cash, the bank will take children. Not being able to blink is a serious problem when you have only one eye. People from Cincinnati are immune to poison gas. So that's fun on its own. But then underneath that, stuff to watch for. Someone sat through this movie with a notepad and wrote down not only stray observations, but sometimes things that are highlighted, like here in red. 52 minutes in, random act of violence against a teddy bear. The red ones are random acts of violence, and then in other reviews, you'll see green ones, and it would say random gratuitous breast shot.
Excellent.
So the sex scenes in movies,
this is Mr. Skin.
Yes.
For bad movies.
Kind of, yeah. And then they would have a quote from the film, and then even include waveform sound files of lines from the movie that they just recorded straight off of whatever source they had. Now, how the hell did this happen? Well, one guy, really, by the name of Andrew Borntrager, decided that, you know what? I love low-budget stuff. I love silly action movies. I love weird shit. I don't know how to find it all. Because this 98, this was kind of when Blockbuster was kind of going down. Local video stores were kind of getting... Yeah.
Speaking as a former Blockbuster employee, Blockbuster actually didn't start eating shit until about the early aughts. Blockbuster sort of peaked around the time that there was the commercial with the hamsters. The drunk mailman from Cheers voiced one of the hamsters.
You can just say Robert Wendt. You don't have to say the drunk mailman from Cheers.
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit younger than you. I have to go by how I remember things from when I was a kid.
I'm sorry. I was just like, wait. Oh, okay. I know that. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I got the frame of reference. I just was like, you should know that guy's name.
But that was kind of like the peak of Blockbuster, and then it slowly...
Right. Because, 98 was when... the end of VHS, I guess, really.
98 was the beginning, the end for VHS, and then you start seeing DVDs start coming really into prominence around
99, 2000, because that was when The Matrix was out.
Maybe this is a little ahistorical of me, but I kind of associate the DVD having a real foothold in this country with the release of the PlayStation 2, because that was the affordable DVD player for most people.
That is exactly where my first DVD player was a PS2. I had to look this up. DVD was originally came out in 97.
Yep.
So, 98 wouldn't be that far off. And again, those players that were out in 97, 98 were not cheap. This was not something you could get your hands on. It didn't replace VHS, but eventually it did. It took a while, but it got there.
I mean, the fact that DVDs were, the same thing with CDs over cassette tapes and
widespread adoption took a while.
But infinitely much easier to produce, because I think the printed DVD, there's such a higher profit margin than VHS tape. There's obviously less parts.
For sure.
You have a acrylic sandwich with a data field in the middle that can be read by a laser, as opposed to 3 or 4 moving parts and analog
screws and magnetic tape and this and that. And you got to make sure it's going to hit the heads right and all that. There's a lot of moving parts too. Even going far back as like Beta or 8-tracks, like there's a lot of moving parts, and so it was a lot more expensive to produce. It's the reason why CDs blew up, and everybody, because it was cheaper to produce, and it was for the consumer. It was a lot easier to use. Yeah, you remember tapes where they were kind of a messy medium.
Kind of sucked.
Yeah,
I mean, there's something great about watching, a amazing B movie like American Ninja 2 on VHS. I think the last movie I watched on VHS was Surf Ninjas Must Die.
Oh, any of the Trauma films is
on
fantastic.
VHS
it's a must-have. Nuke 'Em High. The other one that I remember as a Trauma one especially was Kabuki Cop.
Yeah, just the fucking weirdest shit.
Just whatever they can throw at the wall.
I remember being a kid, my brother explaining to my dad a Traumaville movie like, it was like Toxic Avenger, and I was like, even like being like 8 or 9, being like, that can't be a real movie.
Right?
It just sounds too fucking weird.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm
and then also being like, wait, that's what the cartoon is based off of?
Oh, God, yeah, I'd forgotten about that. There was a cartoon.
It's like Jimi Hendrix. It's like the Jimi Hendrix of bad movies.
That's a good way to put it, yeah, because at the time it was mind-blowing, and now you're just like, okay, it's a guy playing a guitar. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Boomers hate when I make my... Well, Carlos Santana says some anti-trans shit.
Come on. Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like...
Fucking, what is with these old rock stars? Just fucking.
And Paul Stanley said some shit, and so did Dee Snider. Maybe there is some things we should consider about puberty blockers and how we approach transitioning for children and preteens. But you know what? I don't know if it really like affects me.
Right.
It doesn't sound like any of these kids are really getting hurt. I think it's just like we really should just be super mindful. I don't know if we should be like chastising people or having bigoted opinions about it.
Just seems stupid.
Like, who gives a shit that Target had like tuck friendly swimwear? Who gives? So does that
affect you?
Did it make your gas go up? How did that affect your bills?
Yeah, exactly.
How's your tax return looking this year? Well, these fucking no tuck swimsuits really fucked me over.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it! I knew I should have claimed a hardship on the no tuck swimsuits. But this is a problem working with older people is they just say things and you're just like, so.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, it's one thing if it's your grandpa. It's another thing if it's fucking Paul Stanley. Like, goddamn son of a bitch, I liked you. You can't do that to your grandpa, but you can say that to Paul Stanley.
Detroit, hold on. Detroit Tuck City.
There it is. What fascinates me about badmovies.org is that a good chunk of the work on this site, and we're talking hundreds of movies, these reviews were by one guy.
It's beautiful.
It's a labor of love. This guy was doing this website up until 2013. All right, doing the math there, that's a solid 15 years.
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, I'm glad he's still paying for the hosting. Because you can go, badmovies.org. You can go to this website right now. And if you're looking for a shitty movie to throw on, and it's on a streaming service, you can find it, you can watch it, and you can have yourself a good old time.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a service that's like, it's the Library of Alexandria of shitty movies.
Yeah.
There's even some non-shitty movies on here. Like he wrote a thing about Star Crash. That was a 1979 kind of forgettable picture, but I like Star Crash. It wasn't a bad movie by the way that you would think, like a Mac and Me or like like an Atlantic Rim or something. But it still kind of fits the bill because it's cheap, a knockoff of something else. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you got to figure, this guy really sat and watched these movies.
Tons of respect for that.
Not just any surface level stuff, too. You know, he's writing out a paragraph of character descriptions. Look at this plot synopsis. It's 3 pages.
This is what Facebook stole from us, folks.
Well, this is what a lot of websites stole from us. I mean, Jesus Christ. Things I learned from this movie. Here, in the future, nobody can count. Men with perms are immune to deadly lasers, and the most powerful weapon in the galaxy is a lava lamp. Much like MST3K itself, he timestamps and then writes jokes.
Yeah.
And if you're watching along with him, 46 minutes, how does knowing that Thor was a traitor provide concrete proof that he can see into the future? Hello? Guys go on YouTube every day and post videos that are less informative and less entertaining than this text-based website.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you.
Boy, I have had something come up on YouTube that's like about Ari Aster movie or about Akira. And it's like 20 minutes, and you're like, wow, this didn't really cover much of anything.
This didn't tell me anything either.
Or stuff that's about Stanley Kubrick or whatever. Now, to be fair, there are also people out there that can do a 20-minute video about Stanley Kubrick or the production of Akira and absolutely fucking not waste a second.
No, I mean, I got one hand that I'm thinking Folding Ideas, I'm thinking Super Eye Patch Wolf, and maybe the Big Joel. Those are the 3 that I can immediately think of.
And there's some stuff for like the fucking film school kids that's really good out there. But there are also people that think that they're that level, and you're like, geez, I mean, like I watched like one time a 25-minute YouTube about the British trip hop band Sneaker Pimps.
Oh, wow.
And
there's a lot of ground to cover there, I'm sure.
There was some new stuff, and then there was also some stuff where like you didn't do your research. Like some stuff that I didn't know, and I like to think I'm someone that knows not everything, but quite a bit about the band Sneaker Pimps. But there was like certain elements and certain facts that he was like, I don't think that's right. Dude published a video, I want to say like 3 months before like Sneaker Pimps record came out during the early days of the pandemic.
Oh boy.
So it was like, wow, like you just kind of, you really fucked Like, you didn't know, but you kind of fucked this up because you would have had a whole, like, if you just
if you waited,
sat on your hands for a minute.
Yep, held on to that, did some more research, got your facts straight. Maybe you would have had, maybe you would have had a hit video. Because I mean, if you really want to get into it, there's stuff like that happens all the time, especially in film. YouTube is a fucking nightmare.
There's a guy who, wish I remember his name off the top of my head, but he takes all the Metal Gear Solid games and gives them historical context. And he went through and added historical context to Metal Gear Solid 5, which is kind of a fucking obtuse game when you're just, what the fuck is... I still don't know what it's really about.
No.
But you've played it.
Language? I don't know.
It's about language, but it's about like identity. It's about imperialism. You've played the game, right?
Yes.
So you go to Africa and there's like the PMCs and there's like two main warring factions.
And it's set in the 80s, right? If I remember correctly.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was able to take it to a historical context about like an insurrection and like national force or imperial force that were having a conflict in Africa at that time. And there was like, oh, well, here's some similarities. This is probably what inspired Kojima and the other people that worked on the writing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's neat. That's something I never would have gotten otherwise. Boy, it would have been cool if Kojima would have maybe made
some of that explicit in the game, maybe?
Subtext is great, but that game is a lot of wasted potential. The gameplay is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, moment to moment, it's,
But it doesn't say anything like...
There's no weight to any of it, I think is the problem.
There's a lot of really great ideas. And
I mean, you're in Afghanistan in the 80s, and there's Soviet soldiers.
Yeah.
Give me something else there. Like, give me, I don't know, the Mujahideen. Like, give me some,
but the Mujahideen all left.
Right, and that's no, that doesn't...
That's not interesting.
No, like, I understand.
If it was something more like the first part of Metal Gear Solid 4, it would have been super interesting.
Right, because I understand that, like, in the political climate where Metal Gear Solid 5 was released, that maybe expressing even the tiniest amount of sympathy for the Mujahideen might have been, a problem.
Well, if you watch Bitter Lake, the Adam Curtis documentary,
which I have,
the conclusion I think that maybe you're supposed to get from it, because some people say it's dehumanizing towards the folks in Afghanistan, which I don't think that's the point. I didn't walk away with that either. I think really the point was like, maybe we should just let the Soviets modernize Afghanistan.
Yeah, it was not our place to be there to begin with. I mean,
that's
and
like,
really
it's not even saying that the Soviets were necessarily the good guys either, but like, maybe we should just let them have that little...
It's the same thing with Iraq. It's like, it's not our business. Why are we here?
Yeah.
That's, I think, the point was that I can't remember what I was fucking called him Drew Curtis. The point that Adam Curtis was making.
Adam Curtis is fart.com.
In the mid-1990s, there was a man with a website. Yeah,
there was a man, and there was a photo on the internet that would shock people, and it would make you say, "What is that man doing to his anus?" There was a rumor spreading on the internet that Bart Simpson was going to lose his virginity in the Simpsons movie, but something far more devious happened.
And then it's like a fucking X-Ray Spec song goes into
that burial song.
Yeah.
I'm going, oh cool, another fucking Drew Curtis documentary, and another like fucking, oh cool, in McDonald's again off on another track off Untrue. Thanks, bro.
Yeah,
I love it. I love all of this. I'm
I'm enjoying this quite a bit.
Did you watch the last one?
I did not.
It's long.
Yeah,
it goes a bunch of different directions, and I think it says some really poignant stuff. It could have gotten there with about half the runtime.
I felt that way about hypernormalization. I felt like that one dragged a bit.
Yeah, I still think it's packs quite a punch.
I think the only people doing Adam Curtis level stuff is got to be the guys at Blowback.
Oh yeah, and
big ups to Blowback.
I know. New season of Blowback.
I saw the trailer.
Tomorrow.
Jesus Christ! Yeah, and they got John Benjamin back, which is great. I love having that.
I think the first season of Blowback about Iraq is phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
I think season 2 about the Cuban Missile Crisis I think is really important. I think the thing I miss from season 2 and 3 and the third season is about the Korean War, which I think also has a lot of really important information and a lot of great context, is that there's not a sense of humor.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like there was a bit of a nosedive.
And I think part of what made the first season of Blowback really fun was that it was a lot of really great information, but there was also something cathartic and like the absurdity of what was going on there, because it was all fucking insane.
Well, you
farce.
had, especially the way that Blowback presented it, where you had John Benjamin as Saddam Hussein. That was
Uday,
fucking...
Go up on the roof and fix Daddy's satellite.
Yeah, so hopefully they can kind of get a little bit of that back. But I understand they're going into Afghanistan and the 9/11, and there's going to be some real fun stuff.
It's fucked. But anyway, you think we're ready for the actual breath mint proper?
No, because we have not done Shock.JP.
Oh no.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Shock.jpg.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. It's time, baby.
The ginger thought it was time for the part of the podcast that was fun. But no, he was wrong. First, he would have to see a video of a guy pressing a kumquat into his urethra.
Thankfully, none of that, but this is a website referred to as Plan B. Now, we previously mentioned Last Measure from the GNAA. That's, of course, the Gay N-Words Association of America. This one...
I think they like being called Native Americans.
Thank you. And land back. And the URL for this one cracks me up because it is blacklivesmatterin.cf. Well, you'll just have to see for yourself. Oh, you do have to accept the cookies for this, which it cracks me the fuck up. But,
we're compliant.
Yeah. It is what is known as a screamer. It is a guy jacking off, a bunch of guys with cum on their face, a series of... and
a little goat ass in there?
Yeah, and of course the...
Wow.
blasting audio saying the N-word and a guy screaming about how he's going to come and... a tiled background of a bunch of gay African-American porn. Just a wonderful collection of stuff. But yes, do not go to that URL, by the way.
Please don't. Unless you're in a hospital or library setting and you need to be admitted over the weekend.
Away. Yeah, if you need to get checked in to Club Meds.
If you need that 72-hour hold just to get away from your wife.
Plan B. Courtesy of the GNAA. Oh boy, they're back at it again.
Boy, you can't keep the boys down.
You really can't. And
man, that was explicit.
Yeah.
In a very old school way. You would tell your friend to go to in the computer lab.
Yes.
Oh no, it's a really cool site. You can hear like all these Nine Inch Nails, like alternative takes or something.
Right. The screaming audio, and it's dropping the N-bomb every 2 seconds, and it's a guy screaming about how he's going to come, and just all while a guy who looks like he should be dead is jacking off in front of you in a bouncing window that is like going to... they've hijacked your browser.
Kids follow the bouncing ball.
They're masters at the craft, I gotta say. There's no one else who doesn't like the GNAA.
There used to be a website that was like the letter X like 69 times. That was like a similar thing. Like you would just click on it. You would go to this website, and it would be like photos of like people dead from Iraq, like dead bodies.
Jesus.
But like someone would take like enjoy Coca-Cola in the corner.
Oh,
like this really
real
like,
Adbuster shit.
But like very abrasive, shocking war crime shit. But like the classics of like Ronald McDonald being crucified or being lynched and like enjoy Coca-Cola. It was very much like it felt like someone was like cut it up.
Yeah.
And just was good enough at HTML and like Photoshop 2.0.
Right. I mean, this feels real Web 1.0, even though, you have to accept the cookies to get in there. It's beautiful what GDPR has done to us all. Yeah, we've had to accept cookies and then get blasted with the N-word every 2 seconds. It's
or as I like to call it, living in a city.
Speaking of living in a city, it's time for the Breath Mint, Brian.
It's time for your mom's favorite part of the show. It's time for the Breath Mint.
To catch you up, I saw Beau is Afraid.
Yeah? What'd you think?
I adore that fucking movie. I had so much fun. My wife, of course, did not.
Yeah, I don't think the women folk are into it.
Well, she laughed really hard, so that's a
Sure.
big one. It's fucking funny, dude. God damn.
That first third of the movie, just like the part where he's like coming back to his apartment and the guy with the tattoos just sees him. Like it's like this hunter vision and Beau running.
I've said this before, but like Ari Aster is probably one of my favorite living directors. Just I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing it right. Because, I mean, 3 bangers in a row. Hereditary, Midsommar, and Beau is Afraid. Just Bo, and we were talking off Mike just a minute ago, like, every fucking centimeter of that frame is filled with shit. Just pictures of scenes that haven't happened yet, or like,
Yeah.
like, he's got the goods, and he knows exactly how to turn the screw on this guy. Okay, so you know that I kind of have an anxiety problem.
Yeah. I mean,
this-
I also have.
Right.
I am literally diagnosed with anxiety disorder. So
Right.
yes.
So this movie made me feel like, oh yeah, this is what an anxiety attack feels like. This is what it feels like when you are catastrophizing, and every possible bad thing that could possibly fucking happen to you is happening right now.
And no one wants to believe you.
No, because it's too unreal.
So the part with Nathan Lane, their dead son's combat mate that's living in the trailer. You know who that is?
Oh, who is that?
That is the farmer from the gang of Inglourious Bastard.
Oh, no shit.
Isn't that
Okay.
so fucking weird?
That is great.
That's like
I
if
love
you
that.
got Morgan Freeman to puke in Tom Green's throat. It's just such a weird.
No, I
now
love
I'm
it.
Tom here to feed the baby bird. Feed me, baby man. Feed me. Tastes so good.
Yeah, just like that.
I'm gonna give it back to you, Daddy Bird. Daddy Bird likes this
Yeah.
almost as much as fucking my kinfolk.
So run, don't walk to see.
Yeah,
Birds Afraid.
I feel like we're
Fantastic.
really.
We're skimming the surface. There's I mean, God, because you don't want to give too much away. Because honestly, the more raw you can see it, I think the better off you're going to be. There's just so much, and it reveals itself to you as you go on, and it really does reward a second watch, which I did. I did have to watch it a second time.
I think I'm saving it for the winter time. I was very tempted to watch it a second time because you had watched it, so I would be refreshed. But
Right.
I just had to sit there and contemplate it like some stoic monk, and I
Yeah.
do think it's a
koan.
really
Yeah.
amazing piece of art about being alienated and having an incredibly difficult relationship with your mom. And I don't know, people think like it's so cynical and abrasive. I go, yeah, but I think some of the people that don't like that movie are the ones that have had probably kind of easy in life. I'm not saying everyone, but there's been some people where it's like, oh, shit's been kind of, you had it on easy mode.
Yeah, well, it's also kind of like it's a movie that's definitely not for everyone. You know what I mean?
It's not
Like,
for people that have a charmed life, you know?
Well, not even that. Like, even some people who, may see it and see a reflection of themselves and don't like what they see.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
I mean, I see a reflection of myself in that movie quite a bit, and
Right.
I find comfort in that, like,
the gigantic nuts.
no. But, I mean...
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
There's a scene midway through the movie where there's a play, and what goes on during the play is very cathartic. I think that anyone that has feeling like they've had to waste part of their life to appease a parent or some other authority figure, and he has an epiphany.
Yeah.
And is taken away from him is just as quick as he finds it, as he finds this inspiration.
He literally feels himself pulled into the play, and then he replaces the main actor.
Yeah.
So like you see Bo, the character, walking through this scene that he's not actually in. He's just sitting in the audience, but he's transported by art. And that's kind of neat. Visual representation of what it's like to have a movie feel very real to you, or like to have a play feel very real to you. That's what I liked about that sequence. That and the way it ends.
It's so fucking weird. There's 3 acts, and some
Yes.
people say it's almost like 3 different movies. The first one is kind of like your most insane boomer coworker's envisionment of what like living in a city must be like.
The first third, yes, definitely.
Because I'm the only person at my job that technically lives in St. Louis City, and some people I work with who like they're so country that like where they're from, like their parents think Arnold is too close,
right?
and Arnold
I think
is
a
like,
suburb
is
too
a
close.
fucking is a solid 30-40 minute drive away from where we are at right now.
Right.
And they're like, no, that's the city.
To them, that's the city. Yeah.
Del Mar Loop is most certainly the city when it sure fucking ain't.
It's a very hard to describe mentality, but there's this paranoia. I guess that's the easiest way to
That
put
this
it.
world is out to abuse you and fuck you, and
you get to see it play out for the first half hour, 45 minutes of this movie.
It's at least 60 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Bo being tortured.
Right.
It's a 3-hour movie. Each act,
That's
I
true.
want to say, is about an hour.
It's give or take because there's the suburbia part too, so you have to kind of factor that in, and then you go from the city to the suburbs to the woods, and then from the woods to this really rich area.
Back home.
Yeah, back home.
He's gone from the forest to home, like almost like it's a fucked up pilgrimage.
It's a hero's journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little twisted. It's not exact. There's some common reference points. I mean, you could point to any number of stories that are. It's really funny that a lot of the story beats are punctuated by him getting hit in the head.
Yeah,
that's a running bit. He'll dive through a window and it'll change scenes. Or he'll get hit by a car. It'll change scenes. Or he'll get hit by a tree. It'll change scenes.
Yeah,
I gotta give it up. I gotta give it up in Act 3 for Parker Posey.
Just showing up and just giving an insane performance.
Just doing it and then quietly exiting the film, as it were. It's superb. I can't say enough good stuff about it. Oh, it's funny. It's darkly funny, I think, is the thing that I want people to come away from. I want people to understand that this movie is actually really fucking funny. It's goddamn hilarious. If you watch this movie and you're not busting a gut by the time this big reveal happens in the third act, you've lost all touch.
I feel like that big reveal actually kind of missed me.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, it was the thought in my head when that reveal happened was like, I really liked this movie up until this point.
Oh yeah.
And then after we were eating dinner, we were talking to the waitress at where we were eating, and we were like, oh yeah, Bo's afraid, and she's like, oh, how is that? I'm like, well, it's really, really amazing until this part happens, and I kind of.
Actually, what's funny is that we spoiled it in a previous episode. So there's a giant penis monster.
There's a giant penis monster. And as I said to the waitress, and here's the sad part, you don't know if I'm joking or not.
Right.
And
yeah.
She's just like, oh, wow. I'm like, yeah.
It is true. I had to watch the movie to make sure Brian was not fucking with me.
People thought I was fucking with him. Like, yeah. It's really amazing until this part happens, and it kind of falls apart, in my opinion. But
I disagree. I think that's the moment where some of the ambiguity becomes very much more funny, because now it's just like, oh, the dad was a big dick. And then he literalizes it. To me, the whole movie is filtered through Bo's lens, so you kind of have to see it that way, I think. Anyway, cannot recommend it enough. Bo is Afraid.
Bo is Afraid.
Baby.
48 out of 48 minutes of dogs barking.
I think that's gonna make one of my movie of the year.
For sure.
Lists, for sure.
I'm looking forward to watching it again.
Yeah, you said you already got it on home video. So
I bought it on Blu-ray because I felt like this is never going to be on streaming. Everyone's got
this is maybe Prime will have it for like a week, but no, nobody's.
I think it's A24's biggest bomb.
Yeah, which is fine because they're doing everything right. Especially, I don't know if you know this, but they're actually one of the few studios that agreed to SAG-AFTRA's demands and are just going ahead with all their all their work because they're like, yeah, sure, okay. You want to be paid more? Sure, okay, let's do it.
No weird AI shit. Yeah, sure. Okay, let's just make movies like they're supposed. Yeah.
To me, that's like, okay, they can stand to lose money on something that's a little weird, and that's because I feel like they have the back of the artist, kind of like when United Artists was a thing, when that was a studio, and they started putting out the weirdest shit, like the Tank Girl movie. Like you're just you want to make something? Sure, let's do it.
Just breaking news here, folks.
Uh-oh.
The Trump fucking mugshot just dropped.
So, hold on.
Check this out, man. Check this out. Yeah. Check this out.
You motherfucker. You showed me goatsy. It's just like,
folks,
God damn
it. It feels good. It feels good to be alive.
Oh, right there is why we do
really, the Trump
I know,
but is there. It looks like the guy you can't let back into like the family video because he got caught jerking off in his pants. Don't let the cum guy back in.
It has a Richard D. James album cover, Aphex Twin album cover look on it.
Perfect Phone Calls Volume 1 and 2.
I would, you know what? If somebody did that for like a prank call collection where they prank called people as Donald Trump and called it Perfect Phone Calls Volume 1 and 2, I would probably check that out. Yeah.
Amazing. Something I've been putting off, I keep forgetting to mention on the Breath Mint, is that I watched the Venture Brothers movie.
Oh, okay.
Radiant is the blood of the baboon heart.
Now, I have not caught up on Venture Brothers since at
How?
least like season 2. Look,
How?
dude,
It gets really bad and then it gets really good.
I think it gets really bad is when I stop watching.
There is a point where I probably would have kicked Jackson Public so hard in the knee that he had to go to the hospital. It was like, can you stop putting like the bad X-entertainment style fucking 80s cartoon and pop culture references? The last 2 or 3 seasons are actually pretty fucking solid, but you know, this is the last piece of Venture Brothers media we'll probably ever get, and I think it is a full course meal.
Yeah,
and it's everything you want, but yet I still am hungry.
Patrick Warburton's still in the damn thing, right? Yeah, because he's one of the key ones, the Brock Sampson character. If you've never seen it,
so it is a really heavy parody of Johnny Quest. It kind of keeps that thread throughout the entirety of it in one way or another. They started to kind of move away from it, I would say, after the second or third season, and kind of realized, like, well, all these weird characters we created to make fun of Johnny Quest, they're interesting characters, so
roll with it.
Yeah, so why don't we do Billy Quizboy? And you know,
Billy Quizboy.
What's up with the weird tiny guy with the metal hand and his albino friend? And you know,
And the David Bowie stand-in that whoever did the impression was very good.
Hello, I'm David Bowie. There's some really fantastic stuff. Like I said, there's a season or two where they kind of get high on their own supply, and it doesn't really go anywhere. But then I think they kind of realize, like, you know, we need to stop doing this. But the problem with the show is that it was traditional animation and it cost a shit ton of money.
Right.
And these guys really took their time when it came to delivering storyboards and scripts.
Right.
So with Warner Discovery cutting themselves off at the knee, they canceled Venture Brothers, and then like, oh no, we're going to actually finish it. We're going to do like a little 90-minute movie. Mm-hmm. It's fine.
Oh no, it's fine.
It's fine in the sense that there's going to be no more after this. They make sure certain characters come back, and there's certain references, and they're not just there to be like hi and then bye. Like, they help move the story along, and there's certain things that pay off that have been a part of the story or questions in the main plot for, you know, sometimes a better part of a decade.
Yeah, it's a long running show. It has 7 or so seasons, right?
It's been going on for over 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, it debuted when I was still in fucking high school.
Okay. So it's been a while.
Like, I remember watching it in high school. So
lesser shows have had shorter runs and had less quality. We'll put it that way, because they're from my understanding is the quality to episode ratio is very high.
Some incredibly funny stories, some great characters. When I talk about the 2 or so seasons that aren't that great, there's still some really amazing stuff. It's just like, man, it's just not the same sparkle. But the last 2 or so seasons before they got canceled really like brought things back around. It was a lot of fun. There's a whole entire episode where there is a supervillain that's Andy Warhol and his factory, his hanger-ons and all that, and it's just like a bunch of deep cut like art jokes, and so there's a lot of cleverness, and it's a shame that it ended when it ended. And I think the final movie is about as good as a cap you could put on it, but like there's still stuff that's never going to be completely answered.
Sure.
It's just like, oh, I want more. And not in like a way that's satisfying. That it's like, oh, there's certain characters that were prominent in the last couple seasons that get like a visual cameo here, and you're like, but this was a great storyline, and
so it's bittersweet. You can't really call it proper closure, I guess, but I mean it's enough to satisfy some people, not everyone.
Here's my argument. Let's say if they were going to do 2 final movies, and they were like each 90 minutes a piece, and maybe like, you know, they're 6 months apart. Yeah, I think that would have been fantastic. I think it felt like they had to cut out a lot of things to meet their requirements, meet their budget. I don't know. If you loved Venture Brothers, it's like having your grandma's, like, I don't know, fucking spaghetti sauce for the last time.
Sure. Yeah, you're gonna get what you want out of it. Yeah.
But yeah, so I give it like a positive review.
Okay.
What you got?
Okay. Like I said in the last episode, I'm still kind of on the hunt for the next big game. I finished High on Life, which is something you said, boy, you were braver than I am, which I will say, yeah, because it does kind of get real weird by the end. But the voice cast is great. Boy, by the time they bring in Tim Robinson, who is one of my favorite modern funny people,
sure,
as one of the Gatlians, that's where I think it really picks up. It's fine. It's good. It hits all the high notes, and boy, it's still got that Justin Roiland stink all over it, though. So I can't really recommend it. It's a serviceable first-person, goopy alien shooter kind of thing. So if you like that type of deal, well, by all means, go for it.
Everything seems to be in service of the jokes, which is both one of its strengths and one of its weaknesses.
Yes, because the jokes are mostly, hey, come. It comes funny, right? And then we're going to do that for a couple minutes.
Hey, what if we killed the kid?
I chose not to.
I tried. You can ask my girlfriend. I probably spent a good 15 minutes trying to kill the kid. I'm like, what the fuck? I want to kill the kid.
You can. I just jumped over him and just moved on. Like,
yeah, but I don't know. Like, maybe I'm just... I just wanted to kill a kid. In the
There's an achievement that this Fallout won't let you do this, and it's when you can kill a kid. There's another one that the villain gives you at the end. Where he gives you a fake achievement where it says you spent 15 real-life hours in an alien strip club. So, like, playing with the meta-ness of it was kind of fun.
Don't you go to like an Applebee's or something?
You go to an Applebee's, yes, and you can order real items from the Applebee's, and you can also choose to dine and dash and leave without paying. One of the achievements is to pay your bill at the Applebee's.
See, like, there's stuff like that.
There's some great meta humor. Yeah, there's some really great, like, meta-textual stuff. It's a 15-hour game tops, and it runs out of steam by, like, hour 6. And then you're just kind of like, okay, well, we're doing this again, huh? The voice acting is fairly consistent. There's a few people that I don't really feel that strongly about, like whoever plays the sister. But again, it's mostly this fucking Justin Roiland stink all over the game. And then I switched over to the spiritual sequel to Castlevania Symphony of the Night called Bloodstained Ritual of the Moon.
I've heard that's pretty good.
I am enjoying the living shit out of it.
I heard the sequel's a little bit more polished, but the first one is...
Oh, there's two. Ritual of the Moon is the sequel.
Oh, okay.
So yes, Ritual of the Moon is the sequel. It does have a lot of really great stuff. Although for some reason he decided that some of the random enemies were going to be photorealistic cats and dogs. I don't know. It's very strange. So it's a side-scrolling hack and slash type of deal. If you played Castlevania Symphony of the Night, you kind of know what to expect. You get powers as you go through, Metroidvania style. I mean, there's very much, it's of its pedigree, kind of lives up to it. There's a crafting system, which I fucking hate crafting systems. You know this about me. Can't fucking stand them, but it's necessary because you got to get all the best gear and whatever. Special abilities and yada, yada, yada. I mean, a lot of this stuff, if you've played any modern post-PS1 era Castlevania game, you kind of know what you're getting into. Yeah. And that's exactly what Bloodstained is. And then I also picked up River City Girls, a great 2D beat-em-up in the River City Revenge, or whatever it was called, River City... The NES game.
River City Ransom.
Ransom, thank you. River City Ransom. This one is from the girl's perspective. It's more modern, but it's trying to be kind of the 16-bit retro style. There's great music. It's got some anime intros. Good combo system. It's really fun to play. I recommend that to anyone. And of course, I picked up, in advance of Persona 3 Reloaded, I also got the Persona 3 Portable for Steam because they upgraded the graphics. They got a lot of different voice lines in it. They did some improvements. I cannot wait for Persona 3 Reloaded, but it is going to be February of next year. So
I think since I've moved in my new place, which was over a year ago, have not touched Persona 5.
Yeah. Now, do you have Persona 5 or do you have Persona 5 Royal?
Royale.
Okay. Yeah, Royal is the definitive version of the game, so I will...
and I have that on PS4, and I don't think I've turned on my PS... I have it connected. I haven't really turned it on since I've moved in. But now I have Game Pass, and I can play it on Game Pass. So
I was going to say, yeah.
But that game... I think my problem with Persona is that like, oh, this I would have absolutely lost my fucking mind at like 15.
It is an investment. It is a time investment.
Because I found every time I sat down to play Persona, it wasn't like, oh, I can play for a couple hours. Like, no, this is the whole evening.
Especially in the early days when it's like the cat character Morgana is going to force you to go to bed.
Yeah.
Like, okay, here goes another transition screen. I got to sit through this.
Yeah.
Once you get into the castles and the dungeons proper, it starts to open up. But again, there's still, it feels like it's a 10-hour tutorial before you get into the game proper.
Yeah.
That's too much. That's too much training wheels.
I watched my ex play some of it. She was pretty far. She like knew the game like the back of her fucking hand.
Oh yeah, it's been out a while. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was like her comfort thing. I like watched her play stuff that was like 2/3 of the way through. I'm like, oh, this is really fucking fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have the time commitment to get there.
It is definitely one of those things. Now, what I will say about Persona 3 Portable, any of the versions of Persona 3 you're going to see is that Persona 3 is a bit more friendly with your time.
Mm-hmm.
Make your character, you start the first day and you're able to save right away. In Persona 5, you got to wait, go through a bunch of story stuff to even get to save your goddamn game.
It's fucking painful.
Yeah, so I will say that the portable Persona 3, if you do it on Switch or if you do it on PC, you're definitely going to be able to kind of jump in, jump out a little bit more easily.
But you know what comes out tomorrow?
Armored Core 6.
Yeah, I got that.
Fires of the motherfucking Rubicon. You better believe it.
Yeah, you got
I got my pre-order at GameStop, baby. I'm going there tomorrow.
Really?
My day off. I got nothing to do. Let's go.
All right, yeah. My girlfriend doesn't know that's what we're doing tomorrow. I get the feeling. I get the feeling whatever she wants to do is going to win out. But that, like, you know, I'm going. We've been together for almost a year. I think I can just. You know what? You know, we're not going to do this.
Today's a me day, baby.
Today's a me day. We can do some parallel play. You can work on your cross stitch or something, and I'm going to play the big mean robot game.
See, that's why you got to get her a Switch so she can put like Animal Crossing on or something like that.
She's not really into video games.
No? Okay.
She's into a lot of media and a lot of awesome shit, but I don't know if video games is really like a thing. She likes watching me play video games. I'm hoping this fall, you know, she's going to have me watch Sopranos with her. Mm-hmm. And I think my cultural exchange will be like, oh, okay, we got to play Night in the Woods together.
Oh, Night in the Woods. Great. Love Finji games. I love them.
Narratively, probably one of my favorite games in the world. Have you played it?
I have.
Oh, okay, you finally got around to it.
I played it a couple years back. Yeah, it's great.
Well, I remember like talking to you about like off Broadway once. And,
yeah.
And I told you
I had not played it. Yeah,
I told you that I was like, yeah, I had a choice between this as what I was going to play next and the Deus Ex game that I gave up with halfway through, Mankind Divided.
Oh yeah, you were probably in the right on that one.
When I did finally get around to playing Night in the Woods, I was like, oh wow, this is very cathartic. I'm really using that word a lot. It felt like it's someone that grew up in a part of St. Louis that's now known for being depressed and, you know, white flight. You know, it's kind of this sore spot in the area, and like, well, it didn't get there because like the people that live there or the people that moved there sucked. It's got there because of, you know, redlining and corporate interests and disenfranchisement, you know, systematic racism. Like, you know, it wasn't the people who live there's fault. It was kind of everyone else's. That's kind of the crux of some of what's going on in Night in the Woods. But when I started finally playing it was when the one dude killed himself.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, wow, I'm finally playing this game. I'm having all these feelings, and then like Zoe Quinn accuses Alex, was his name?
Alec Hawalka,
bad man, a bad thing, you know, and then he decided to tap out, and just like, wow, okay, now so the whole entire probably last 2/3 of that game just had like this really ghastly.
Yeah.
He didn't seem like the other guy.
Oh, Scott.
You know, after his passing, it said like, you know, there was some stuff about what we were trying to say in the game that he didn't understand, and there was definitely some blind spots in his upbringing and maybe some of his privilege, but like the game would not have worked without him. And you know, it's
Oh, there's stuff in that game like cults abducting people who will not be missed.
Yeah,
that whole bit, like just and sacrificing them to this ancient god called the Black Goat. I mean, there's
the keep the town alive and
that says a lot about small towns and how they kind of eat their own and all this stuff, and it really put a fine point on it. I think in a good way. Sometimes you have to.
If you grew up somewhere or came from somewhere that is now like it feels like it's forgotten and its better days are behind it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really hits hard.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason it won a bunch of awards. I mean, because it's just that good. So
there's some stuff that could have been tighter, but I mean, like it was such a small crew.
I was gonna say for such a small budget, small crew. Doing the game that they were able to make, I felt it was a damn good achievement.
An amazing soundtrack.
Oh, God, yeah.
Which was one of Alex's bigger contributions, I think, besides some of the programming he did.
Yeah, 3 albums worth.
Yeah, insane. I have one more thing.
Yeah, please.
This Sunday, I will not be watching All In. Sunday. I will not be watching AEW's All In at Wembley Stadium because I'll be doing the more noble thing, which is watching folk punk.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because AJJ is going to be at Delmar Hall.
Yeah.
With Open Mike Eagle.
Oh, great.
Sad Park, which are like an emo punk-ish band from LA. And I hate to say it, I just listened to them because they were on the bill. And I'm like, I should probably be familiarized with these guys. And I was like, I bet they're from LA. Like, I was like, this sounds like LA.
Nailed it. Got it in one.
Like, there's like dudes in battle vests and like really, really black dyed hair. And they're like a little stocky, and I like looked at a photo of them, like, yeah, I was kind of right. I hate to say that I could get their number, but they got some good songs on there. Their new record's pretty tight. But what I was most excited about, I know Sean and Ben have known them for a long time, and they're great guys, and it's cool having seen them evolve from a 2-piece to what they are today. But they're taking fucking Foot Ox on tour.
Yeah, boy.
A nice thing about AJJ is they seem to take people on tour that you may never ever get to see again, unless like you live in a cooler city than St. Louis, which I mean, fucking, I think Omaha is probably a cooler city if we're really going to be frank. So
principle of the thing is, come on, they got their homies out of Oregon and they're bringing them on, so that's fine.
Yeah, but most I think AJJ fans know Foot Ox as the band that AJJ covered, Rompilation.
Oh, okay.
They covered the song Lucky Strike. I've known a couple other Foot Ox songs, but there's like sometimes like, well, I'm never going to see this person live because it doesn't seem like they tour or like leave the Pacific Northwest. And that's how I sometimes unfortunately treat some musicians. It's like, oh, this stuff is cool, but I don't want to get invested because I'm never going to get to see them, because if they're going to have a choice between playing St. Louis or Louisville, they're going to fucking play Louisville. Yeah. You just get that vibe that like no one wants to come to the town where if you go to the one cool thing there is to do, all of your shit's going to get stolen.
I felt that same way about New Jersey's The Front Bottoms for a long time, and then eventually they started doing more shows, and you just were at one of them. So
yeah, they fucking sold out the goddamn fucking pageant.
Hell yeah. So you never know, is what I'm saying. You never know.
Yeah. There's been a few times I've seen AJJ either as a headliner or a supporting band, and it was always something like, well, I'm never going to see this band, who they're playing with. I'm never going to see Mannequin Pussy again. Probably. Yeah, I'm probably never going to see Joyce Maynard again. Or Manor, sorry. Maynard. Joyce Maynard Keys.
Joyce Maynard, James Keenan, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mannequin Pussy, though, they just bought their masters back and are launching a new label, Romantic Records.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
They got its masters from Tiny Engines, and they're kicking off a new thing, and I, for one, am excited about it.
My ding dong. But I saw Mannequin Pussy with AJJ and Joyce Maynard. Manor. Why do I want to say Maynard?
I don't know.
Fucking Midwestern bullshit.
Joyce Maynard, James Keenan.
Highway 4. Washed.
Yeah, you got your washing done.
I got my washing done off Highway 40. But yeah, I saw Mannequin Pussy at the new High Tone in Memphis with Mannequin Pussy, AJJ, Joyce Maynard. Joyce Manor. Bogdagavita. Bogdavita.
Didn't we spend like a long time in it?
Yes, apparently that's one of the funniest things we've ever done.
Bhagavad Gita. I only know how to say it because of a Ben Folds song.
It's bad because I used to work in a place where I would leave smelling like Nag Champa.
Right.
So
you would think you would know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to always make fun of all the Hare Krishnas because I'd be like, because there'd always be like some white guy. And I'd be like, where's your black flag tattoo? And one guy got one where
rolled his sleeve up.
One Hare Krishna did roll up his sleeve. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, and he's like, do you guys have a statue of Rama? And I'm like, yeah. And he went over to the statue of Rama and prayed from it. And I was just like, yeah, the owner would be really mad that I didn't charge you money for that. And he didn't know whether or not I was joking. And deep down, I don't know the answer.
No, yeah.
But I could think of the guy who owned that business being like, that was fucking $5 we'll let walk out the door. Fucking fair trade businesses are a fucking scam. Anyways. I feel like the new Foot Ox record.
Yeah.
Julie and the Sun is kind of like a sister record to King Tuff's Small Town Stardust, and that they both feel like they belong to like a 90s art house film, an indie film about some kids at like a liberal arts college in kind of a small town, like somewhere in the Pacific Northwest or in New England, and it's kind of about coming of age and
an Art School Confidential, a Daniel Close adaptation made into a film. Yeah,
I think something better than Art School Confidential. I think Art School Confidential was basically like being like, look how far I can shoot my cum.
A Ghost World, perhaps. A Daniel Close is what I'm saying.
Sure.
Yeah.
I never sat through Ghost World. I was too busy. Movie. I was too busy watching Cannibal Holocaust and American Ninja 2.
It was a good movie. American Splendor followed suit. It was a good movie.
I'm sure you could let me borrow a copy. They'll never get back to you.
Yeah, sure can.
Anyways, but I feel like that in like King Tuff's version of this movie, the towny bartender that gives the male protagonist his comeuppance would be played by like, the drummer from like Pavement. But in Foot Ox's version of this movie, I feel like that bartender would be played by like Iggy Pop or something. It's really interesting. They have similar vibes. I think the Foot Ox feels very personal. It feels very much the feeling of being young and like broke as shit, but whatever. I got a fucking chai tea latte, and I'm wearing a really nice. I haven't got my metabolism isn't fucked yet, so I can wear like this really cool jacket that I thrifted, and like it feels like a fucking punch in the stomach, but it also is kind of written with that youthful optimism of like, wow, I sure don't know everything sucks completely just yet. But it's like reality hasn't hit you just yet, like
like a naive joyfulness.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, like it's still kind of sad.
Sure.
But it's the weight is different than I think like maybe like an AJJ song about some similar things and feelings. It's hopeful in a way that's comforting, even though it's like kind of sometimes describing things that are tough and weird, and I find that really interesting that they could tap into that so directly and so in a way that feels so authentic, and it kind of fucks with me because I most certainly remember feeling like that, and now I look back like, no, that really did suck, and that was gonna get worse. I just like I was naive and optimistic and thought like
blithely unaware.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, it only sucked. I had 32-inch. I could go to a thrift store and buy a pair of 32-inch waist jeans and look hot.
Yeah,
and now I can't even wear a trucker jacket anymore because I look like I can't afford cigarettes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a fucking weird way to leave it. So we're gonna wrap up the show. We're gonna tell you where to find us online. Brian, why don't you go ahead and start us off this week? Let us know.
So I've got all these trucker jackets I need to get rid of.
I need to offload them. I need to get them out of here.
It's a bad scene over in my place with all these trucker jackets.
Help me out.
It's like, I'm like Krusty the Clown with Fabergé eggs. Oh yeah, so if you want to send me death threats and all that fun stuff, you can cyber stalk me and all that fun stuff. I Shaki the board. ISHOTGYDBORD on Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah, fuck that. We're not saying X, just Twitter.
Fucking nah. I ain't about that. It's not cash money to me.
And
Blue Sky, which I have made like 10 shit posts, and
yeah,
I have a heart. It's like really like, if you did not have already a successful Patreon and years of circle jerking with certain people on Twitter, like you just are not going to really.
It doesn't translate.
Yeah. If you didn't have a podcast that broke up because like you were getting like your other like Mike's like death threats, like you're just.
I mean, we can make that happen if you send your death threats at Jason at 40 minutes.
But anyways, Blue Sky, I'm just having a hard time getting the vibe there, but it seems fun. It's like going to a bathhouse and you're just like, I mean, I don't feel uncomfortable, but I don't really feel welcome.
Yeah.
Like no one's coming over and being like, wow, nice knob.
Yeah.
No one's coming over and helping me out. No one's showing me the ropes. I feel no one's sexing me in.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
Into the digital bathhouse. Jason, where can they initiate you?
They can initiate me at Video Crime. Most places that's going to be, of course, Twitter, Letterboxd. I mean, any place that you can find a Video Crime, chances are that's going to be me, and of course Blue Sky as well.
Even Neopets?
No comment, I think is what my lawyers have said. But
we don't talk about that.
Yeah, we don't. You can also give us a shout via the telephone if you're old school like that. That's 314-246-9766. That's 314 AHOY POO. That's right. If you like to spell with your telephone. You can also shoot us an email, Jason at 48minutesofdogsbarking.com, Brian with a Y at 48minutesofdogsbarking.com.
Folks, I'm still looking for that Daniel Pearl video.
That's right. Support the show for 8 Minutes of Dogs on Patreon. Well, that about does for the program. We're going to leave you a little bit of music, as we always do, until the FCC tells us no. It's a band called Table. The song's called Gag Box. And it's a hoot. We hope you enjoy your day. And as we always say at this time, namaste.
Bye-bye.